Candid, captivating, compelling. Welcome to Cannabis Confidential with Dr. Dina. Listen in as Dr. Dina, medical marijuana pioneer and inspiration for the award-winning TV series Weeds, shares never-before-heard stories, chats with cannabis insiders and celebrity friends, and provides invaluable perspective and insight into one of the fastest-growing industries in the world. CannabisRadio.com proudly presents Cannabis Confidential with your host, Dr. Dina.
Hello and welcome to Cannabis Confidential. I'm your host, Dr. Dina. Today, we're going to be having this amazing conversation with my friend Giddy, the owner of Emotech Labs out of Denver, Colorado, and talking about hashish and hash oil. Hash is the biggest, coolest, strongest, most potent new substance coming out of the medical cannabis industry in the last 5 years. When I first started a collective about 12 years ago, we used to get in this product called amber glass. And it was this mysterious amber looking, it looked like glass. It was these little shards and it would melt if you touched it. And we were afraid of it. People would say, oh, it's filled with butane. You don't want to smoke it. But we would get patients that would come in with epilepsy and other kind of ailments that were really severe, and they would swear up and down that this was the only thing that they would be able to smoke that would take away their symptoms. And over the years, we have had some really amazing scientists, some smart stoners, as I like to call them, come out and research and make this industry better, make this product better, make it more medicinal. And one of the people that is probably like the biggest pioneer of the hash oil movement, especially when it comes to safety, is Giddy. And Giddy, incredible company called Emotech, which I had the pleasure of touring when I was in Colorado this past month. And they make these closed loop systems for producing hash. And for those of you out there who have tried making hash yourself, you know that there are different ways of doing it. There's water hash, which you make with ice and water. There's butane hash, which you can make with butane. And if you go onto YouTube, there are videos on how to make hash. Most of them are highly, highly dangerous, and I would not recommend it. And there are these kids we call it open blasting, where you're spraying this butane and it's not in an enclosed container. And anything in the area that can spark, it could be a TV, it could be a neighbor lighting a stove or a cigarette, can basically cause an explosion because butane is very heavy and it carries out of the container in which you're using and it travels. It can go along the floor and travel next door, and someone will light a match and boom, you now have blown up your house. So I don't recommend that you guys open blast. And Giddy came up with this machine, and it's an extracting machine. And I just saw it for the first time. And then he had to blow my mind after showing me this regular machine that extracts cannabis oil, he has an automated one, a fully automated hash making machine. You push a button and this sucker makes hash. It's unbelievable. And this thing extracts the butane from the actual cannabis oil at the end, which we know is a problem because a lot of these companies are not cooking off their excess BHO. It's staying in their product. It's not healthy to smoke. So let me welcome Giddy with Emotech, who's going to teach me more about the cannabis oil techniques and explain. Let me talk about symptoms that it helps and the problems that we have today. Because I know that welcome Giddy. I know that you are one of the only people out there that are actually certified. These machines are certified to make hash oil. So tell us more.
It's a pleasure to be here, Dina, and you made some very great points about butane extraction and the world of butane extraction, and I thank you very much for your compliments. They mean a lot. Butane extraction is now what we do consider one of the most popular forms of marijuana consumption as far as growth that we have seen in quite a long time. The people at High Times, the people at all the big cannabis events and whatnot, they said, as a matter of fact, I had Rick Cusack from High Times say that not even glass smokeware caught on to the cannabis lifestyle as fast as extracts have.
Wow.
So it's important that we came up with a way to make them safe, and we came up with a way to make them, legit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a very interesting statement, because I remember, 3 years ago, if I were to, someone actually gave me an oil rig and I didn't know what it was. I'm like, where's the bowl for the bong? I don't understand this. And then someone gave me a nail to put in it. And I'm like, still confused. What do I do with this thing? And someone said it's for hash oil. And I'm like, nobody smokes hash oil. And nowadays, I don't think I've used my bong in over a year and a half. So it's only oil
Which
rigs.
is quite a feat.
It's pretty unbelievable.
It's quite a feat.
Yes, yes. And even glass blowers are making so much money these days because of all these different oil rigs. And it's an unbelievable industry nowadays to be in. But since you are really the expert as far as, making the hash and these machines that make the hash, what inspired you to start this?
I learned a little bit about extracts back in the early 2000s, and it was extremely small scale, and it wasn't really something that you could do for a lot of people, or, it was just kind of almost a novelty, you'd come across it once every 6 months, and it wasn't safe to make, so I really didn't enjoy making it at the time. When I came to Colorado, I started seeing more and more production of it through glass tubes, and I decided to make a machine that would make it safer. I thought, and eventually came to my earliest designs, which were still relatively unsafe, which kind of goes to show, don't do this at home. Don't try to make your own closed loop at home. But after being discovered by the fire department and working with them and working with the regulators here and actually having engineers and the proper people to come in and help us, fine-tune our machine, we've got something that now meets all national fire protection codes and is required by use for most of the states now that are going for medical marijuana.
Wow, that's incredible. So if you are a licensed extractor in Colorado, do you have to use one of your machines?
There's a list now. We were the first approved machine. We were the first option that anybody really had, but now we're seeing other companies, out there take their take on extraction, and we're seeing more machines become available to the populace here. That being said, the Emotech Obi is still the most sold extractor here in Colorado, as far as we know.
Well, that is incredible, and I just can't believe the advances in safety. And, I think that a lot of people, when they hear about medical cannabis, they think of the actual flowers, and they think, that's what we're all talking about as far as curing ailments and diseases. And when I first started in the medical cannabis industry, I thought myself, flowers were the answer. This was going to help us. And the more and more that I've been involved in the industry and working hand in hand with patients, I'm noticing that the real relief that these patients are getting, the real treatment is coming from cannabis oil. I actually just got off the phone with a father of a 1-year-old baby boy. And this baby boy was diagnosed about 6 months ago with a tumor behind his eye. And he was going to start chemo. And he got really, really, really sick after his first dose of chemo. And his parents decided to reach out to me and fly out to California and see what they can do. They got their doctor's note. They started him on oil. And this kid responded so incredibly to the oil. He immediately stopped throwing up. He put on weight again. He did not need any other pharmaceutical pills other than his chemo. He did not take any other pharmaceuticals. And he was just given his paperwork saying he's cancer-free. And his tumor is gone. He does not lose his. This is the future. And we're looking at, everywhere from 6-month-old babies to 90-year-old women. People are taking cannabis oil for their ailments, and it's curing them. It's fixing them. It's helping them in ways that the flowers were not. And so this is why I'm so excited to talk to you. We have so much more to talk about, but we're going to actually run and take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to be back with Giddy Up from Emotech. And we're going to be talking about the advances in hash oil. We'll be right back.
Cannabis Confidential with Dr. Dina will continue after a word from our most confident sponsors.
Great websites today need expert web design and development and need to be e-commerce ready and mobile friendly. But building a marketable and profitable website can be an uphill climb. Ready to make your new website or replace your existing website? Think Orange as the new way to get in the black. Orange Hill Development works with Fortune 500 companies and offer the same top quality development service at a fraction of what other providers charge. Brands like Absolute, Carlsberg, and Nestea trust Orange Hill Development. Find out why you should trust your website with Orange Hill. Contact Orange Hill for a consultation today at orangehilldevelopment.com.
Educator, author, and advocate Dr. Mitch Earlywine is here to tackle the burning issues.
And I'm here to clear up the myths about cannabis and burn them away with science.
CannabisRadio.com presents a no-holds-barred platform that seeks to redefine and revolutionize the entire scope of the cannabis culture while opening the door for more to join the cannabis crusade.
Dr. Kevin Hill.
You can't ignore the fact that, like alcohol, most people who use don't have a problem. So I think that you need to think about policy in that way while educating people properly about marijuana. I think that's the way to go.
Burning Issues, only on CannabisRadio.com. The smoke is rising, and the next crop of podcasts devoted to cannabis providers and enthusiasts are ready to be harvested. Welcome to the Cannabis Radio Network, founded by respected rainmakers who have been producing award-winning podcasts for over a decade. Industry headlines, business updates, medical reports, marketing, and e-commerce education rolled up perfectly for your consumption. Let's grow together. The Cannabis Radio Network. CannabisRadio.com.
Dr. Dina is back with more Cannabis Confidential, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Welcome back. We are here. I'm Dr. Dina. I've got Giddy up from Emotech on the phone. He is the man when it comes to extractions. And I want to talk more about extractions used in illness. And nowadays, when I have a patient that comes in to see us and they have epilepsy, they have cancer, they have severely debilitating disorder, whether it's migraines, whether it's an eating disorder, and they're not getting the relief from flowers, I don't usually give them edibles. I tell them, try oil. I want them on cannabis oil. And when you're using it sublingually, the best way to do it is not taking it straight from what I've experienced. It's breaking down the oil in a coconut oil, using that to treat. So if you're giving it to a child, we like you to break it down to a coconut oil so you can absorb it into your system because it helps absorb. You don't really absorb it all the way without it. The way that most of these people are using cannabis oil these days, they are dabbing. And I got this really, really awesome contraption from Giddy. Thank you so much, by the way, for my G-nail, which I absolutely love. And the G-nail is it's an electric nail that wraps around the skillet of my oil rig, and it heats up my skillet, my nail, to a nice solid temperature that I like. And I can vaporize my hash oil straight from there. And I don't have to use a torch. I'm not wasting butane in my torch. It's always ready to go, and we keep it ready to go in our office because we need to stay medicated and make sure everyone stays healthy. But I noticed that in your office that you always have your G-nail going, and a lot of people come by and they like to medicate with you.
It's a pretty popular place these days. We get to see a lot of traffic. We've done a lot of work on the building itself to make it a fun and friendly environment, but people also like to come by and see the equipment and the level of quality at which we produce. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone, and we love getting medicated with everybody.
I just think it's so cool that you have this incredible business in a legal state. And just like when we walked in your office, you said, it's all business up in the front and party in the back. And we walk in the back and you had this awesome lounge with, people were painting images on the wall and it looks like a galaxy in there and it's so cool. And people are just hanging out and trying different hash oils. Mind you, we did hang out during the cup and everyone had lots and lots of cannabis oil to try. So we had lots of testing to do. But I have to say that I absolutely loved your entry. So tell us more about your entry, what you entered into the High Times Cannabis Cup.
Well, my entry this year was a strawberry banana OG mix. It was a strawberry banana from Crockett Farms with a little bit of Gucci OG in it. And we did a live resin run, which is what I'm pretty popular for on my entries. I always do a live resin entry. It was a beautiful white. It really tasted like strawberries. The genetics on it were just off the charts. They really outdid themselves, DNA Genetics and Crockett Farms. Live resin is, we've applied for the trademark on the name. It's a way that we run the Emotech machines with the product as different variables that we've put in it. Most people like to think that it's just a fresh frozen run, but we've changed everything. Soak time, amount of butane that we use, the process in which we reheat it, and we've totally changed the way that we purge it out in tuned with running a wet product. So live resin is essentially a modified, perfected recipe for doing fresh frozen bud material. It went fast. We entered it in the first contest, was the Secret Cup. We won Connoisseur's Choice, which was the award given for the specialty judges, we'll call them celebrity judges. Most of them were cannabis celebrities. And we scored highest on their list and won that with our first live resin entry. After that, that's what I've entered every time. It's what I won 2014 Denver, the U.S. Recreational Cannabis Cup from 2014. I won with a 303 OG live resin run. It's got about 22,000 hits on the hashtag in less than a year.
I know that is a very popular word these days, this live resin. Everyone wants live resin, but everyone seems to be calling live resin different things. So I figured I'd ask the man who started it all.
What's mainly different about it is when we extract the cannabis plant, while the water-soluble terpenes still exist in the plant, when you cure, the water comes out of the plant. Therefore, some of those water-soluble terpenes escape with the cure. That's why the plant smells. When you smell it, it's those terpenes coming out with, small molecules of water. So we decided to take the extract and make it before those escaped, and that's what gives live resin its signature loudness.
So
it's the smell of it, which you can smell from it forever. Yes, save the terps. And terps we found, and we have a lot of people that agree with this, terps are essential to the process. They're part of the cocktail. You need to have terps with your CBD, with your THC, so that that everything absorbs properly in the right dosage. We see a lot of success from our live resin treatments, and people that used to just smoke traditional shatter or wax now smoke live resin have increased, increased responses from the medicine.
I actually left my samples in Denver because I didn't want to fly back to California with everything. And I decided to donate all my samples to a friend of mine who's a vet out in Colorado who suffers from seizures. And he swears by your sample. He said he has not had a seizure since the cup. And that's unbelievable. He would normally have about 30 by now. So obviously there's something to it. Just like in CBD, there are people in Florida selling, I found this morning online, someone was selling CBD oil online with no THC in it, which, as we know, is not going to do anything if you're sick. So you're selling people false hope. But it's very similar with the terpenes. You need those terpenes, too, to activate a lot of the compounds in the THC and the CBD. And that's really fascinating. And I think that
stories that I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
Oh, no,
one of the stories recently that jumps out to me that explains the difference and was really kind of the definitive factor for me to go that you're right, the terpenes do make a difference. I won't use his real name because we never like to give out our patient information, so we'll call him John. John had a stroke about 10 years ago and was left in a wheelchair with paralysis. He came in, he smoked flower for the pain and discomfort that he had, and he saw benefit from that. Once the flower itself started really, he built a tolerance to it, he moved on to the waxes and shatters. And when he started smoking waxes and shatters, he noticed a great deal. He actually could start to move some pieces that he hadn't moved in a while. The guys at the shop turned John on to the live resin, I met John for the first time at a patient appreciation party we had at a bowling alley here in Denver. We like to invite the patients out to get to know the staff behind their medicine because it's a very close bond we all share. John was there in a walker, and I'd never met him, and everybody brought him over to introduce to me, and long story short, he told me that once he started smoking live resin, he no longer found the need for a wheelchair. He could work with the assistance of a walker. And after using the walker for a few weeks, he worked himself up to where he definitely only needed the walker and now held spurts where he could make it without the walker. And he said that he holds live resin completely responsible for aiding in the alleviation of his paralysis, which is an ailment and a symptom I had never once heard cannabis, in any way, shape, or form really having any effect on paralysis. But it just goes to show that with all the new innovations in cannabis, the sky's the limit on what we can help.
That is so true. Listen, Giddy, we're going to run off to have a quick break real fast. We're going to come right back. We will continue this conversation. And stay with us. We'll be right back.
Cannabis Confidential with Dr. Dina will continue after a word from our most confident sponsors.
Your connection to quality cannabis insurance services is spelled K-A-E-R-C-H-E-R. That's Karcher Insurance. We have worked with ventures like Cannabis for over 60 years. We're proud to represent over 50 companies with tailor-made cannabis plans for owners just like you to insure your product, your plants, and your pursuits. K-A-E-R-C-H-E-R spells out their full-service insurance services ranging from commercial to bonds, to personal, from life to health, and more. Contact the team at KarcherInsurance.com and let our experience work for you. That's K-A-E-R-C-H-E-R Insurance.com.
Contact Karen and the team at Karcher Insurance at 1-844-421-3560. That's 844-421-3560.
Ignite the conversation on some trending topics along the Cannabis Radio social media network. Join our crew of thousands on our Cannabis Radio page on Facebook or at Canna Radio, C-A-N-N-A Radio on Twitter. Plus, look for our Facebook and Google Plus pages for all of our original programs and connect with Dr. Dina, Kyle Cushman, Dr. Mitch Earlywine, Nurse Heather, Doc Rob, the hosts of Ganjapreneur, and more. Connect with the growing Cannabis Radio social crusade at Canna Radio on Twitter or search for Cannabis Radio on Facebook, Google Plus, and Instagram and grow with us.
Growing green to generate more green.
Hello to all you happy herbalizers, smiling trippy hippies, and everyone who believes in freedom and tolerance. This is The Grow Show, and I'm Kyle Cushman.
From food to fuel, from remedy to resource.
Welcome my guest, Ed Rosenthal, the guru of ganja. Let me ask you, right now I hear your lighter clicking. Are you smoking indoor or are you smoking sun-grown?
What am I smoking? I'm smoking concentrate.
Way to get out of the answer there. So you're truly like the king, right? You just clap your hands and somebody brings you a bowl and you're all set, right?
I wish that were the case.
The Grow Show with Kyle Cushman, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Dr. Dina is back with more Cannabis Confidential, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Dr. Dina. You're listening to Cannabis Confidential. We've got Giddy up with Emotech. Giddy, before I forget, what is your Instagram and your website information?
Oh, well, you can find us at emotechlabs.com. You can follow us at Emotech Labs on Instagram, and that's EMOTEK. So I'm Giddy Up 710 for my personal page, which is actually pretty exciting too. So you can follow us there, and we'll follow you back.
And I definitely want to have you on again because one of these days you're going to have to tell everyone the story of where you got your nickname because I think that is just so funny.
That would be awesome. Where I disclose it first. I promise you the scoop. How's that?
I love that. I love that. Well, you are definitely my weed warrior of the week. I think that what you've done for our industry is so incredible. You're keeping people safe. You're changing people's lives. You're helping people get access to medicine that they wouldn't normally be able to get. And I noticed you were just telling me about your working with in Jamaica. trying to get them regulated as well?
Yes, we were invited down to Jamaica back in, I believe it was February. I believe it was February. I'm a little out on the date. We consulted the government there and talked to their concerns about reform. United Cannabis is who I was with when I went down there. They really liked the truth that we were speaking to them. Our goal was to keep Jamaican cannabis profitable for Jamaica and to not let that money, creep out of the country. They liked our ability to help them implement some, what I like to call the restoration program, where we put the farmers that had been criminals on the island now as, their own individual companies and their ability to grow. It had a great response from Jamaica. We're going to see this year Jamaica is very warm and welcoming to our culture, to our industry, and you're not going to quit hearing about it from now on. I can promise.
Well, I'm looking forward to the High Times Cup. That is for sure. Super excited. That's going to be in Jamaica, and I am definitely going this year.
And they're trying to change the dynamic of it. When they had Amsterdam, they really couldn't change the dynamic of what it was because it was tradition.
Right.
Now with this new international area for a Cannabis Cup to be held, they're really looking forward to throwing the World Cannabis Cup and trying to bring a World Cannabis scale, bring these people from other countries that have cannabis cultures into the spotlight and show that, cannabis is a worldwide medicine and a worldwide product. And I'm really looking forward to it too.
And I know you were in Barcelona. I was in Spain also. I was in San Sebastian and Madrid. And it was so incredible to see the movement exploding all over the world and going into cannabis clubs in Spain. How awesome was that?
It was so amazing. Spain actually has one of my favorite foreign cannabis scenes out there. They're very nice shops that they have there. The quality of the product that they're growing is exceptional. And it's really a testament to that country's ability to embrace cannabis. That's where my second biggest fan base is for me. Spain is alive and well and growing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was so incredible. And what an experience to go into these social clubs and you get to eat and you can smoke and you can buy your cannabis and you can hang out with your friends. And I think that's what the future in the U.S. is going to be like. And I think that cannabis oil is not going away. We're learning more and more and more. There's rosin techniques now where people are using their girlfriend's hair straighteners to make their own weed from, just straight buds. And so it's so fascinating. And I think that especially when you look at, 10% of cannabis users get arrested for cannabis-related charges. We have people in jail today for cannabis. People still are going to jail for cannabis. But then you have someone like you in a legal state who is killing the game, who's revamping the whole way the industry works and teaching people how to do things right. And you are the future. You are what's going to get us going in the next 10 years to be being seen as a legitimate industry. And so I just want to thank you again for everything that you do, all your hard work. It does not go unnoticed. I cannot wait to have you back on. We're almost out of time, but I just wanted to thank you again. I had so much fun hanging out with you in Colorado over at your office and meeting the whole crew and learning about your machines. And the fully automated one is so cool because of all your recipes saved inside there. And it's so user-friendly. And it's just, the advances are incredible. And I'm so excited to be part of it. So I want everyone to go check out Giddy Up 710 and Emotech Labs. Go follow them on Instagram. Check them out online. Go to my website, Dr. Dina 420, and my Instagram, Dr. Dina 420, and my Twitter, Dr. Dina. Giddy, are you on Twitter?
I am. I'm Emotech Labs on Twitter.
Whoa. We're going to have to tweet each other later. Well, I'm super excited. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to us and listening to Giddy and check out his machines. They are freaking awesome. You know you want one. We're going to get going. We're going to talk to you guys next week. Have some more fun for you. Thank you so much. And tuning out, I'm Dr. Dina with Cannabis Confidential.
The opinions expressed on this CannabisRadio.com program are those of the guests and hosts and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of CannabisRadio.com. Any rebroadcast or redistribution without proper consent of CannabisRadio.com is prohibited.